Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Mohler. I go by Jesse's Brick Galaxy. We're at Brickworld Chicago.
And I'm Amanda Feuk.
Okay, and you both have this great collaborative build that you worked on together. So we want to start at this end and kind of take us through the story and what this build is.
So this is based off of the movie of Kubo and Two Strings. And it starts with Kubo's mom taking him as an infant and rescuing him from his grandma. And so that's what this wave is. It's this magical wave that brings them to their new home. And then it moves to the mountain, which Jesse built, and their little home up in the mountain. And Kubo then travels down the mountain every day to go make money by doing magical origami shows. And so we have the village over there with Kubo in the middle doing his little thing. And then it moves to the river where the magical lanterns happen and the forest. So that's kind of the first part of Kubo's journey before he starts, having to rescue everyone and save things. So yeah, that's kind of the start of it.
Yeah, it's great how you kind of laid the whole story out here. So you mentioned the wave here kind of at the beginning. You can start with that and kind of take a deeper look. Talk about the pieces you used there and kind of the technique you were able to get that great wave look.
Sure. So when we first started about deciding to do the Kubo, Jesse's like, we should do Kubo. I'm like, I agree, we should. That's an excellent choice. Yeah, it was like, yes. And we're like, let's do the trophy micro scale or whatever we want to call that. And I was like, I wasn't a huge fan of the brick built kind of waves, especially for that scale. It just didn't feel right. And I literally went to Bricklink and looked through all of the trans blue pieces. And I passed the claw piece. It's the Chima claw. I don't know if you want to get a thing there. It's just the little Chima claw piece, and I passed it, and I went, wait, no, and I went back, and I went, that would work, and then I kind of crossed my fingers hoping it wouldn't be $5 billion, because I knew it wasn't in a ton of sets, but a lovely guy in Germany had 1,500 of them, like you do, and so I bought all of those, and then quickly realized I needed more, and so there's almost 3,000 on this layout, not including the white ones. And what I found is I was like, okay, I'll use the lightsaber bars. There's tons of trans blue of those, and they're cheap. That'll be easy. And then I found that the newer skeleton arm also comes in trans blue. And I had some in white, so I started playing with the technique that way of just kind of going back and forth and making a pattern. And I found that it wasn't enough to hold it up, and the gapping was too much because of how many arms I had to use. And that's when the flick missile, or the newer flick missile piece, I found came in trans blue as well, and that was kind of what cracked the code. And so it's a lot of all of those kind of all put together, and the wave is actually pretty much self-sustaining. It does have a couple of the Chima I don't know what they call them. I guess it's those they use them for the tusks in that one Chima set. They're like a tusk. We'll call them a tusk. I don't know what they want to call them. And they're in there, but they're actually not doing much. By the time everything was said and done, it was good. It was self-sustaining, and I was very, very worried about opening the box when I got here, but only one little piece fell off, and I actually knew where it went. So I was all happy.
Yeah. Well, that turned out great section there. It's a great way to kind of start the story. So then, Jesse, we'll have you come in here and talk about the mountain section here.
So yeah, after the boat lands on this mountain, there's a little cave that they take shelter in. The mother is kind of raising the babies. He's missing an eye. There's a really funny story there that takes him on a whole nother journey. But I was thinking at this scale, we have 4 sections. Is this going to fit on a base plate? And there's a distinctive shape of this kind of slope that I tried to match, and I tried to build it smaller, and it wasn't going to work out. So it kind of grew into a 2 gray base plate, segment. And as you build, you find a technique, So I sourced, like a lot of stories, sourcing pieces, sourcing slopes was something I collected, but to do the full slope, I decided a new technique had to be implemented. So I just built a sideways wall and sloped it down and kind of gave it a switchback kind of trail look to cover up the smooth surfaces, and I thought it came together pretty nicely. So there's a cave under there that kind of connects the whole water scene. And the border is also something we should touch on. Amanda came up with this idea for a nice border, and it includes a monkey and a beetle, which is also part of the magical journey where the father and the mother figures come in, and they're included. Yeah, the father's the beetle. Well,
It just gets crazy.
spoilers. So there's something to do with that in the monkey. So that was a nice little tie-in. And then if you follow the border along, we came up, because I made the mountain bigger, we're like, in the middle, maybe I could spell Kubo out. So sure enough, we did some, not quite snotting, but like brick building, the brushstroke kind of look of the Kubo lettering. It might be on the book, a comparison of how they show it as the movie font versus the Lego brick-built font. And that was a nice challenge. Knocked that in one evening, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Brick-built lettering is always admirable like that. It definitely takes some skill to figure out exactly how to shape the letters and everything.
thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that. I've done a Star Wars one, really snotted out, and now a Kubo spelt out.
There you go. So then moving down the mountain, Amanda, is this back to your section? Okay.
So the next section was the village, and the village in the pictures in the movie is surrounded by these kind of wheat fields, and that was a big struggle because I'm like, wheat fields, okay, at this scale, and luckily Brickmania has an abundance of tan hands, so we did some trading, and Dan was awesome, and he was like, yeah, sure, you can trade for some parts that we need. And so I got a cup of, tan hands and, with a bar and just sticking them in the side and underside of another one. It worked out really well. I was quite pleased with the final look. Kind of gives some nice knee-high wheat field things going there. Mm-hmm. And I found building houses at this scale was kind of challenging as well. It's not Micropolis scale, which as a Twin Lug member, we do quite a lot because, Twin Lug and Micropolis kind of go hand in hand. And it was just a very odd scale. I'm like, okay, that doesn't quite work as a door. That doesn't quite work as a roof. And the roofs were interesting to kind of play with and get that one. Yep. And then the trophy figures, I was a little worried about getting enough of them, but again, a lovely man in Germany had 1 million of them.
Those German bricklink sellers. I don't know how many people I've talked to today that it's like I went on and got a bunch of stuff from Germany.
I was very appreciative. But he was selling them by 100, and I'm like, okay, I could use 100 of maybe total. So Jesse and I and a couple other people in our lug were like, yeah, we'll buy some. Okay. So we put in a big order. And yeah, so the village people are milling around, and they got their different little carts and selling things, and yeah, it was fun to build it up that way. And Jesse made the lovely arch there. I had an arch, and then he's like, yeah, that's way too small. And I'm like, what? No, it's a little tiny arch. They just kind of. He's like, no, and he showed me that.
Dog with clips.
Yeah, it was a hot dog with.
The person didn't fit under it, so I took all the red little greebly pieces and decided, can I make something a little bit bigger? And I got like a handlebars in there and some other clips and got a person underneath. So I've got a small segment in there to collab. It was a great collaboration with Amanda. We just kind of got on the same wavelength, and for a team build, very happy how it turned out.
I think you got the arch spot on there. We were just at a show in Japan last weekend, so we were traveling through Japan and saw some of that, and I think it looks very accurate. So very good job.
When all the pictures I was looking at, I'm like, it's really, really itty bitty. And then, I needed to watch part of the movie again. But yeah, no, he did a great job. And then we go to kind of the tombstone, or the memorial cemetery pieces, and they had a lot of it kind of lit up with these lanterns, and I was trying to decide how to do that, and ended up just kind of putting some white tiles down, and at night it looked really nice. Mm-hmm. The forest technique, obviously, that's been done, but it worked really well at this scale because, again, I was like, okay, do I want to do, like, 1x1 stack to make, like, and I'm like, no, that looks horrible, and I don't like that, and
So it seems like one of the main techniques there is kind of the plant piece upside down?
Yep. Did a lot of that. I was like, okay, stick together, you can do it. I was very happy to find out I had enough 1x1s with holes in them in, blacks and browns, so that was good, too. And then the river was a fun challenge. I knew I wanted it to light up because that's another magical scene with all the lanterns going down and the spirits. And I was like, okay, what do I have that would work? And I was very happy to find I had some of the 10 by 10 in trans blue. And so just throwing some lights under there. And to make the lanterns glow, I just kind of weaved some of the wires with the LEDs on there and popped the cheese slope on top of them. So they're not actually connected, but they stay fairly well. So yeah, that was a fun challenge too.
Yeah, well, that section turned out great as well. I love the little glowing river there in the middle of the trees. It looks really nice. So then, as both of you were working on this together, were you, kind of putting the build all together in the same spot, or did you each do your sections separately and then bring it together here?
Yeah, days before coming here, we're like, hey, let's bring it to work, make sure they fit together, and then we'll just put it in the van and come here. So we didn't test it out in darkness for World of Lights, but it really, really shined last night, and we're really happy on the borders matched. I mean, we texted pictures and just kind of worked separately, but communicated. And
communication is key. Communication is good.
Yeah, because I'm like, I need to make this mountain double this size, and you actually shot it down at first. I'm like, that's too big. I was like, okay, and I tried smaller, but I couldn't, so she kind of gave in. And
I was like, all right, do it, we'll make it work. I didn't want to rework the border because it was like all math.
Yeah, so yeah, she had this really mathematical formula to the monkey beetle, and I'm like, well, if I put Kubo in there, it'll use up some of that space.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you have 15 to 21, depending how you do it, studs, go.
So,
well, I think it turned out really beautiful in the end here, and I love the way you told the story from kind of the beginning to end. So
this is kind of where this is the art book that Aika put out, and so they have this great depiction. I can speak, and this is the first part of this journey, and the way they've laid it out there. And so we were like, hey, we could build that. That'd be awesome. So that's kind of where some of our thoughts came from.
The movie used a lot of practical effects also, so it kind of lent itself to Lego. Like, this would work out as a great story. And on the flip side, animation-wise, they really, made an awesome movie. And we met one of the animators here at the show.
Visual effects artist, Holly. I'm not going to remember her last name, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Holly.
Webster, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm horrible with names. But she actually brought Coraline House.
Oh, okay.
And but she was like, I worked on this, and my husband did that, and I'm like, ah! And I totally geeked out. Like I said, I'm an animator for Brickmania, so I'm like, and I texted my co-animator Austin, and he's like, you meet the cool people. I need to come to more of these shows.
You're making him jealous over there.
Yeah, I felt bad. I'm like, she liked what we did.
Ultimate, respect, and the Lego community. She's a Lego community person first, I think, even, but it's awesome to be nominated from our peers.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the nomination for, is it collab? Yeah, okay. Great. Well, I think it certainly deserves, so I really appreciate you bringing this to the show, and thanks so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.